Buckle up, Buttercup, because the White House says they have technology that can manipulate time and space. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's about time. You remember the Philadelphia experiment, right? Was it real? Was it not? We're going to talk about it. But this is the latest information that I want to share with you. And I've done some digging and I've found some more information that I find quite fascinating that might or might not pertain to this alleged technology that the White House supposedly has, figuratively speaking or not. But check this out, Newsweek. White House says it has tech that can manipulate time and space. So did they really say that? Well, who said that? Check it out. The White House. Remarks by Director Kratsios at the Endless Frontiers Retreat. This was just April of this year. Now, I scrolled down to find out, did he really say that? Like, did he really say that? Or did the news take something kind of like that and come up with their own story? Well, he did. Check this out. This is the same article right here. I just got it highlighted for your timing pleasure. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. They leave distance annihilated, cause things to grow, and improve productivity. What are they causing to grow? Like, are you talking about growing stuff in space, growing spaceships? Literally? Maybe, I don't know. And what about distance annihilated? That's what I'm talking about. So you scroll down, and then at the end of the discussion here, check this out. It is the choices of individuals that will make the new American golden age possible. The choice of individuals to master the sclerosis of the state, and the choice of individuals to craft new technologies and give themselves to scientific discoveries that will bend time and space. So he kind of said it twice. Make more with less and drive us further into the endless frontier. Well, that's pretty freaking cool if you ask me. That's really, really cool. And you know what else is really cool? Especially if you've got some gold, silver, precious metals. Now, I've been recommending you look into this for quite some time now. And I've actually had several emails where people have said, thanks, Rex. I got into Noble Gold Investments and I got in at the right time. So there's obviously never any guarantees. So you want to look at what the big banks and the money funders are doing. But I want to just share something with you real quick. Did you know that every 6 years, approximately, your dollar loses about half of its buying power? So if you've got $100,000 in your savings account today, in 6 years, 2031, it could feel like about 50 grand. You probably see it every time you fill up your tank, every time you buy groceries, or you pay the bills, prices are up, your dollar is down. But there's a simple way to protect the value of your savings with something real, something proven: gold, silver, precious metals, assets that hold their value over time. One of the reasons I trust Noble Gold Investments, great company, A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. I know Colin Plume personally. I've got friends and family that have purchased gold and silver and converted their 401s and IRAs through Noble Gold Investments. They make it simple to protect your savings with physical gold or silver. No high pressure sales, no call centers, just honest guidance, one-on-one support, transparent pricing. It's pretty cool for Leak Project listeners. Right now, when you open up a qualified account, Noble Gold will send you a free 10-ounce solid silver American flag bar, like you see right here, at no additional cost. This will be gifted to you when you convert your 401 or IRA. Just give them a call, find out how. Head to noblegoldinvestments.com today to learn more, and give them a call at 1-877-646-5347. Okay, let's go. These are just some of the 5-star ratings from Noble Gold Investments. But let's talk about the Endless Frontiers Summit, Shaping U.S. Security in Texas. So this was the event where this speech was given and this claim was made. Hey, everybody, it's great to see you. Hope you're having a beautiful day. Looks like we've got an awesome group of people in the chat. So nice to see you all. Somebody says Mandela effect. I don't know about that, but I see it. I mean, actually, Mandela effects seem to be kind of common nowadays. But check this out. So in April of this year, over 200 influential figures, former officials from the Trump, Biden, and Obama regimes or administrations and Bush administrations, as well as defense experts, lawmakers, scientists, investors gathered in Texas. for the Endless Frontiers Summit. That's where this speech was given. The event aimed to strategize the future of U.S. national and economic security through technological leadership amidst a global power shift. Michael Kratsios, former chief science and technology, he's chief science and technology advisor under President Trump, delivers his first public address at the summit, emphasizing the importance of technological dominance for national security. He stated, "This isn't some movie where we sit back and watch the future happen. It's something that we have to do, or we have to actively be participants in." So anyway, the summit focused on developing a tech-savvy U.S. arsenal, promoting reindustrialization, security supply chains, critical infrastructure, enhancing government competitiveness, and mobilizing national talent. And many big names are there. Like, you've got over 200 influential figures from varying sectors, like, obviously defense and intelligence experts as well. But what's interesting is, in this speech, remarks by Director Kratsios at the Endless Frontier Retreat, let's go back to it and let's read it directly. What they said. Okay. "Advances have not stopped, but something has gone wrong. Stagnation was a choice. We have weighed down our builders and innovators. The well-intentioned regulatory regime of the 1970s became an ever-tightening ratchet, first hampering America's ability to become a net energy exporter and then making it harder and harder to build. We seem to have lost focus and vision, to have lowered our sights and let systems and structures and bureaucracies muddle us along. But we are capable of so much more. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. They leave distance annihilated, cause things to grow, and improve productivity." This makes me think of wormhole technology, anti-gravity technology. There's somebody on the internet right now that's been sharing a ton of footage and a ton of information about anti-gravity technology. I'm sure you've seen his videos, Ashton. And the evidence that he presents on his videos, also, I had an exclusive interview with him that's on our Patreon page. You should go watch it. He shows video footage that was most likely military footage, showing an airplane disappear after these three orbs circle around it and cause like this wormhole to be generated, basically, and this airplane gets sucked into a wormhole. Unless this is fake footage, he shows two different videos, two different angles, one most likely from a drone, a thermal drone, military thermal drone, and another one from satellite imagery. Once again, it might be fake, and it might be very, very real. And it makes me think of the Philadelphia experiment. We're going to talk about that in a minute, the Philadelphia experiment. But Michael Kratsios, this guy is a legend in the tech sector, and an American business executive, government official, served as the 13th director of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, the science advisor to the president. He's also served as the 4th chief technology officer at the United States, the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy. In his role, Kratsios served as President Donald Trump's top technology advisor from July 10th, 2020 to January 2021. Kratsios was also the acting Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering. So he probably knows a few things about technologies that most of us know a little bit about from what we've read, but he's probably got the inside scoop. Now, he was speaking at this summit for the American future, Endless Frontiers. What this is very interesting. The U.S. faces a decisive, let's just read it directly from the website. The U.S. faces a decisive decade. Whoever wins will write the history of the 21st century on current course and speed. We risk ceding that future to our primary rival, China, within the decade. Drawing on the report from Vonavar Bush, Endless Frontiers builds on the legacy of American post-war planning and national investment in scientific and technological frontiers. This retreat is motivated by one overarching question: how can we rebuild the foundation of American strength at a time of geopolitical and technological upheaval? Every guest invited to Endless Frontiers is selected for their capacity to address that challenge. Hosted annually, the retreat will provide an opportunity to build new connections, generate new ideas, and publish new works and media on the way forward. So, interesting. Have you ever heard of Vonavar Bush before? I hadn't. So I did some research. I'm like, he's got another Bush in politics and technology and science. So American engineer and inventor, Vonavar Bush, inventor and science administrator who during World War II headed the U.S. Office of Scientific Research and Development. Interesting. So I was like, I wonder if Vonavar Bush is related to George W. Bush. Well, Vonavar Bush, engineer and inventor who was head of the Office of Scientific Research and Development and involved with the Manhattan Project during World War II. He and George H.W. are descendants of Sarah Hamlin, making them seventh cousins once removed. Huh. Interesting. Learn something new every day. You might have already known that. You've probably heard of the Manhattan Project. I was just in a city in Tennessee that used to be called the Secret City because it was established as a secret city during World War II, where they were working on technologies such as the Manhattan Project, nuclear weapons, and other technologies, top secret tech. It was like something out of a Tom Clancy novel when I was out there. One of the guys that I was working with out there at the time, I mean, this was just last month, by the way, just a couple of weeks ago. So I'm out there for a month. I'm in Oak Ridge for a week. I'm in Jackson for a week. Then I spent a week in Maryville and a week somewhere else. And was that earthquake that happened in Tennessee, that 4.1 magnitude earthquake. I was basically in the center of it. And I felt it big time. It felt like I was at a hotel at the time, and it felt like somebody was driving underneath the hotel. If you've ever been to like Seattle or a big city where they have underground parking. And this guy that I was with, he thought there was some kind of explosion. Well, then later on, the day after, no, this was the same day. The same day, another guy that I'm working with out there comes in and he's like, "You guys aren't going to believe what just happened." And we're like, "Did you feel that earthquake?" He's like, "No, I was in the car." He's like, "You guys are not going to believe what happened to me last night." So the night before the earthquake in Tennessee, there's a guy that's working at some Oak Ridge laboratory where they do a bunch of top secret stuff. He steals something from the laboratory. They don't tell, we don't know what, but he steals something from the laboratory, goes on the run, goes on a crazy rampage, starts beating people up. And then he starts messing with gas lines at businesses, at like 19 different businesses out there. So they had to evacuate over 400 people. They had to shut down roads. Well, this guy that steals something from Oak Ridge Laboratory the night before the explosion in Tennessee, by the way, he's on this rampage. He's trying to do all sorts of just crazy stuff. Like he's gone completely nuts. Then this guy that I'm working with says, so he's got a pretty big family. And he's one of his daughter's best friends is living at the house at the time, or staying at the house. And the kid that's staying at the house is like 17. He's practicing martial arts. And one of the guys that he practices martial arts with is this guy that stole something from the laboratory in Tennessee and is on the run going crazy. So the sheriffs show up at his house and they're like, "Hey, this guy that is training with this kid that's staying at your house for martial arts is looking for him. And has he shown up here yet?" And he's like, "No, luckily, because this guy's totally nuts at the time." So make a long story short, I'm in Tennessee and there's a major earthquake in Tennessee that hardly ever happens. And the night before, this guy steals something from Oak Ridge Laboratories, goes on a rampage, tries to blow up a bunch of buildings, and then is trying to find this kid that he's practicing martial arts with, and for nobody knows why. Totally weird, right? Totally bizarre. So it's amazing how small the world is. It's amazing how much of a matrix-like world it is when, very rare that I'm in Tennessee. I've only been in Tennessee one other time when I was at that abandoned prison doing a tour with Jeff Daugherty. And we got footage of this weird looking ghost looking literally in between my legs right up at me. It was so weird because Jeff saw that thing run underneath him earlier in the night when we were doing this tour. And I thought he was full of it. But then we got a photograph of this thing looking, literally it's like looking right. It's like, and you can see the rib cage of this thing. And it looks like it's like a zombie almost, totally weird. But anyway, to make a long story short, back to Oak Ridge and to the Manhattan Project. So I'm out there in an area where they're working on the Manhattan Project. Now we're going to get back to the Manhattan Project. and the connections Vonavar Bush had with the Manhattan Project. So at this meeting that Kratsios is at, that has a history that goes all the way back to Vonavar Bush, which was connected with the Manhattan Project and a bunch of top secret projects. Well, it's interesting because at this event, this is where Kratsios says our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. They leave distance annihilated, cause things to grow, and improve productivity. So then I started thinking, wow, what about not only the Manhattan Project's fascinating, but what about the Philadelphia experiment? What's up with the Philadelphia experiment? Because that's where allegedly, October 28th, 1943, the U.S. Navy attempted to make a destroyer escort, the USS Eldridge, disappear. And allegedly, not only does it disappear, but it shows up somewhere else. And then it comes back. And when it comes back to its location, people are like literally embedded into the walls and into the machinery of this ship. And so I'm like, I wonder if that's legit. I wonder if the Philadelphia experiment's actually real. So I started to do some research about the Philadelphia experiment. And so check this out. The plot thickens. The Philadelphia experiment was an alleged event claimed to have been witnessed by an ex-merchant mariner named Carl M. Allan at the United States Navy Philadelphia Naval Shipyard in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, about October 28th, 1943. Allan described an experiment where the U.S. Navy attempted to make a destroyer escort, the USS Eldridge, disappear. The story surfaces in late 1955 when Allan sent a book full of handwritten annotations referring to the experiments to a U.S. Navy research organization. A little later, a series of letters making further claims to a UFO book writer. Allan's account of the event is widely understood to be a hoax, so they say. Several different and sometimes contradictory versions of the alleged experiment have circulated over the years in paranormal literature and popular movies. The U.S. Navy maintains that no such experiment was ever conducted, that the details of the story contradict well-established facts about USS Eldridge, and that the physics the experiment is claimed to be based on are non-existent. The story of the Philadelphia experiment originated in late 1955, they say, when Carl M. Allan sent an anonymous package marked Happy Easter containing a copy of Morris K. Jessup, and I'm going to get into more details about Morris K. Jessup and his mysterious death in a moment. But in his book, The Case for the UFO, Unidentified Flying Objects to the U.S., this was sent to Office of Naval Research. The book was filled with handwritten notes in its margins, written with 3 different shades of blue ink, appearing to detail a debate among 3 individuals, one of whom is given a name Jemmy. They commented on Jessup's ideas about the propulsion for flying saucers. They discussed alien races and expressed concerns that Jessup was too close to discovering their technology. The commenters referred to each other as gypsies and discussed 2 different types of people living in outer space. Their text contained non-standard use of capitalization and punctuation and detailed a lengthy discussion of the merits of various elements of Jessup's assumptions in the book. There were oblique references to the Philadelphia experiment. One commenter reassures his fellow annotators who have highlighted a certain theory which Jessup advanced. Shortly thereafter, January 1956, Allan began sending a series of letters to Jessup using his given name as well as Carlos Miguel Allende. The first known letter warned Jessup not to investigate the levitation of unidentified flying objects. Allan put forward a story of dangerous science based on alleged unpublished theories by Albert Einstein. He further claimed a scientist named Franklin Reno, put these theories into practice at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, October 1943. So that's when they're saying these experiments take place. It's interesting because I just did an interview with Greg Allison, who is literally a rocket scientist, electrical engineer. He has a resume that is like, wow. He has a very impressive biography and resume, super brilliant, yet very down to earth. And we were talking about different projects and technologies within the military even that they've been studying this anti-gravity tech. We also discussed the differences between anti-gravity tech and wormhole technology. Now, he interviewed people that just basically disappeared and had weird passings after they started to talk about this anti-gravity technology. So when I research this information, and I'm hearing, I'm reading both sides of the story, where one side is saying it's a complete hoax and here's the data that shows that it's a hoax. And then I'm reading the other side that's showing this is not a hoax and here's the data to show that it's not. It's interesting how good both sides how you can argue with both sides. It's very, very interesting. But Allan claimed to have witnessed the experiment while serving aboard the SS Andrew Thurasith. In Allan's account, a destroyer escort was successfully made invisible, but the ship inexplicably was teleported to Norfolk, Virginia for several minutes and then reappeared in the Philadelphia yard. The ship's crew was supposed to have suffered various side effects, such as insanity, intangibility, being frozen in place. When Jessup wrote back requesting more information to corroborate his story, Allan said his memory would have to be recovered and referred Jessup to what seems to be a non-existent Philadelphia newspaper article that Allan claimed covered the incident. Then in 1957, Jessup was invited to the Office of Naval Research, where he was shown the annotated copy of his book. Jessup noticed the handwriting of the annotations resembled the letters he received from Allan. 12 years later, Allan would say that he authored all of the annotations in order to scare the hell out of Jessup. Two officers, Nanu at ONR, Captain Sidney Sherby and Commander George W. Hoover, took a personal interest in the matter. Hoover later explained that his duties as Special Projects Officer required him to investigate many publications, and that he ultimately found nothing of substance to the alleged invisibility experiment. Hoover discussed the annotations with Austin N. Stanton, president of Vero Manufacturing Corporation of Garland, Texas, during meetings about Vero's contract work for ONR. So it goes on to say that they couldn't validate the information in the book, and it's most likely a hoax. So here's a little bit more information. I'm not convinced, but it could be. I mean, it definitely could be a hoax. I'm not convinced it's real either. So like I said, here at Leak Project, everything's bullshit until proven otherwise. Oh yeah, and be the change you want to see. So the case, this is the information about the case for the UFO unidentified flying objects to the U.S. Office of Naval Research. There's a Vero edition. Also, it contains additional material not written by the author. Anonymous sent to Admiral N. Firth, Chief of the Office of Naval Research. The notes and added material contained inside knowledge about the subject of UFOs, allegedly, which piqued the interest of various military personnel. Because of the special interest, they had it privately published in a very limited form, intended only for those with special access. There's also color-coded notations. The Vero edition, or Varo edition, is preserved with color-coded notations made by three unknown individuals, referred to as Mr. A, Mr. B, and Jemmy. Speculation exists about who these individuals were and their purpose of their comments. It is rare. Over the years, this version of the book has become highly rare and sought after in the UFO field. In summary, the case for the UFO unidentified flying objects to the U.S. Office of Naval Research is a distinct and intriguing version of M. K Jessup's book, notable for its anonymous editions, the interest it garnered from military officials, and its limited private publication with color-coded notations. Now, the reason this book is so important is because this book is the alleged beginning of the public knowledge of this Philadelphia experiment, also referred to in conspiracy circles as Project Rainbow. But then I found some more information about Project Rainbow, which talks about something completely different. And I'll share that with you in a moment. This is the book, original, 1955, Morris K. Jessup, The Case for the UFO, Unidentified Flying Objects. Let's take a look into this information a little bit further here. So The original edition of the classic book that brought the legend of the Philadelphia experiment into the public sphere and created saucer controversy for decades, The Case for the UFO. Why has this book been suppressed for so many years? It is a well-reasoned review of the UFO record by an eminent astronomer, mathematician, and archaeologist, Dr. M. K Jessup. His conclusions are breathtaking and incredible, but inescapable. This special reprint edition features not only the familiar introduction by Frank Edwards, but also the lost introduction by noted zoologist Ivan T. Sanderson. The description from the dust jacket, flying saucers are not new. For thousands of years, men have seen mysterious objects in the skies. Now, a prominent scientist proves that unidentified flying objects originate here on Earth. If you've ever wondered about the things today's scientists do not, will not, or cannot explain, this book is for you. So, this is the book that allegedly the public realms became aware of the Philadelphia experiment. Now, this is a document directly from the military. See right here, history.navy.mil, Philadelphia experiment. I'll read some. So the Office of Naval Research has stated that the use of force fields to make a ship and her crew invisible does not conform to known physical laws. ONR also claims that Dr. Albert Einstein's unified field theory was never completed during 1943 or 44. Einstein was a part-time consultant with the Navy Bureau of Ordnance, undertaking theoretical research on explosives and explosions. There is no indication that Einstein was involved in research relevant to invisibility or to teleportation. ONR's information sheet on the Philadelphia experiment is attached. The Philadelphia experiment has also been called Project Rainbow. A comprehensive search of the archives has failed to identify records of a Project Rainbow relating to teleportation or making a ship disappear. In the 1940s, the code named Rainbow was used to refer to the Rome, Berlin, Tokyo axis. The Rainbow plans were the war plans to defeat Italy, Germany, and Japan. Rainbow 5, the plan in effect on the 7th of December, 1941, when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, was the plan the U.S. used to fight the Axis powers. Some researchers have erroneously concluded that degaussing has a connection with making an object invisible. Degaussing is a process in which a system of electrical cables are installed around the circumference of ship's hull, running from bow to stern on both sides. A measured electrical current is passed through these cables to cancel out the ship's magnetic field. Degaussing equipment was installed in the hull of the Navy ships and could be turned on whenever the ship was in waters that might contain magnetic mines. Usually shallow waters in combat areas, it could be said that degaussing, correctly done, makes a ship invisible to the sensors of magnetic mines. The ship remains visible to the human eye, radar, and underwater listening devices. After many years of searching, the staff of the Operational Archives and independent researchers have not located any official documents that support the assertion that an invisibility or teleportation experiment involving a Navy ship occurred at Philadelphia or any other location. So, it's not saying it doesn't exist. It's just saying that they haven't found any official documents that support it. So, and that's from the military themselves. So then I started doing some more research about Morris K. Jessup. And there's a website called the Skeptical Inquirer that talks about the case of Morris K. Jessup solving a UFO-logical murder is the investigative files title. And it goes on to say that Morris K. Jessup, which, by the way, is the author of the book, The Case for the UFO. Well, a few years after this came out, he died. And they called it carbon monoxide poisoning in his car. Yeah. And then they go on to say he most likely, did it himself because he felt like a fool, basically, from the books that he had published and wasn't able to confirm the books. So that's somebody's theory about how he died and how it happened. Is that really how it happened? I don't know. And I'm not convinced. But at the same time, I'm also not convinced that It was, the conspiracy cover up. So, among the borderlands of the paranormal, few exploits are stranger than those relating to the supposed extraterrestrial phenomena. Take, for example, the fate of flying saucer writer Morris K. Jessup, who became entangled in various UFO conspiracy theories. He led a life that threatened to become frustratingly comic, except that its mix of far-out alien claims and increasingly depressing failures led to more and more sensational, and tragic consequences. It ended with what some of his fellow UFO travelers believed was too mysterious to be anything other than deliberate covering up fearsome truths, although some acknowledged it might appear otherwise. So I don't know. Very weird, because it happened shortly after these books came out. And I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think? Retro says Illuminati confirmed. I mean, it's pretty wild to think about. And if the Philadelphia experiment, if the knowledge that we have, some of it anyway, if some of that information is legit, like, that's far out. To be able to create so much power or such a anomalous effect that you could create this energy field that allowed for this huge ship to disappear, appear in another state, and then it goes back to its location, and then people are like stuck in the walls. They're like, ah! that would suck. That would really suck. But what I am excited about is the remarks that Director Kratsios made at the Endless Frontiers Retreat. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. They leave distance annihilated, cause things to grow and improve productivity. Gotta love it. Gotta love it, folks. What do you think? Thank you so much for watching. Also, some very interesting technologies that I'll share in a future podcast. I'll probably talk more about it on Patreon. Is this here? Let me just tell you what it is. This is pretty wild. This is pretty wild. Oh yeah, and also I've got more data. There was a stellar event that took place 600 years ago, and China documented this, and they called it the guest star. A 600-year-old stellar event described in cryptic language finally gets a scientific ID. Nanu. In October 1408, in Ming Dynasty China, court astronomers recorded a strange celestial event. A bright yellow object unmoving in the sky, shining steadily for 10 nights. It was described as large as a cup and pure yellow color. Smooth and bright, a sight so notable that it prompted formal documentation by imperial officials. So for centuries, the guest star from 1408 has a historical curiosity, but no clear-cut identity. Thanks to a new discovery, astronomers think they figured out the source. The paper was posted at ARXIV. Researchers led by Boshan Yang, an astronomer at the University of Science and Technology of China, report an overlooked report by Hu Guang, a court official in charge of congratulatory memorials and laudatory poems addressed to the emperor. So in the paper, when they described this anomaly in the sky for more than 10 days, unlike comets or meteors which streak across the sky, this object stayed put, maintained its brightness, and suggested it was a star. And now they're suggesting, based on the data sets, that it might not be a star, but it might actually be a nova. Very interesting, just 600 years ago. So put into perspective how much happens in the heavens and how often and how much technology we have linked to satellites right now. One solar flare could take civilization back to the Stone Age. But anyway, I like to be prepared, not scared. And what else is like? Oh, yeah. That's what I was going to talk about. So anyway, next podcast, we're going to get more into this mysterious star that was documented 600 years ago that might actually, it's either a star or it's a nova, one of the two. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about these two new articles that I found. This one's the National Library of Medicine, or from the National Library of Medicine, Human Brain Cloud Interface. human brain cloud interface. How would you like to have your brain uploaded to the cloud? And then that way you could interact with other people's brains that are uploaded in the cloud. And wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be exciting? I, for one, am looking forward to our future robot overlords. I'm just joking. Here's another one. Directly wireless communications of human minds via non-invasive brain-computer meta-surface platform. The Institute of Electromagnetic Space, Southeast University, Nanjing, China. Directly wireless communication of human minds via non-invasive brain-computer meta-surface platform. How would you like that? How would you like to have now all of your thoughts picked up with artificial intelligence wirelessly and then decoded, and then, like, who knows what they're going to do with it? Read my mind. You can read my mind. Don't read my mind, bro. Don't probe me, bro. That's like, wow. Maybe the technology is already being used to some degree. Like if there's sensors in your phone. So first of all, we know they have wireless technologies. If you've got a router in your house, there's pretty, like, this isn't even super advanced anymore. Technology that can pick up movements in your house based on your Wi-Fi. So somebody could watch where you were and what you were doing through your walls with a wireless router. Just having a wireless router in your house, you can outline what everybody's doing. Are you making dinner? Are you watching sports? What are you doing? Well, they don't need a camera in your house because they have Wi-Fi signals that can take all that data and then turn it into what you're doing in your house. Outline your house, outline your environment. Now they're showing us technologies where they can read your mind. And I've been blogging. I was blogging about this back in 2011, 2012, big time on Godlike Productions. Go back and read my blogs from almost 15 years ago. And many of those blogs have come into fruition today, are actually considered more mainstream than alternative. Like, this isn't woo. This is cutting edge technology. So I don't know. It's pretty wild. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised with supercomputers that can calculate so many floating points per second, and with technologies now where they've got these quantum computers that can decrypt encryption that used to be considered almost impossible, that would take millions or billions or even bazillions of years. Now with these quantum computers, they can decode and decrypt those same codes in a matter of 5 minutes or less. You know, like forget the Geico commercial or whatever commercial, you know, get cheaper car insurance in 15 minutes or less. How about decode the universe in 5 minutes or less now in a quantum computer that's still in its infancy? These quantum computers are still like not even that far advanced. We're like in the first 3 to 5% of technological abilities on these quantum computers, and they're decoding and decrypting problems in minutes that before, with the most cutting edge supercomputers that are running on ones and zeros, not both simultaneously like these quantum computers, would take billions of years, would take the entire time of the known universe. You don't think they're going to use that technology for crowd control, thought control, understanding the future, predicting the future, predicting what people will do, predicting what they're, you know, not only their enemies, but also their friends. So what happens when you put a whole planet of people into Sims, and now you can predict what every single person is going to do with a 97% accuracy based on one computer program? Fascinating. And you don't think they're going to come up with technologies to travel the stars and the planets through some type of, you don't think they've already got these technologies? I mean, how many spaceships, whether they're ours or somebody else's, how many ships have we recovered that we know about? At least a few, because it's made public disclosure. Now, whether or not these are highly experimental craft from an adversary or a defense contractor or a breakaway civilization, I mean, I don't know. But what I do know is The world has gone through many events in the past that have taken civilizations back into the Stone Age, where they had to go hide in caves, and somebody out there is going to have super technologies. They're going to live through these cataclysms. They're going to come out with these technologies while everybody else is rebuilding. And if you've got those technologies, you can say whatever you want. Nobody else has them. You could make up whatever story you want. Hasn't that been going on for thousands of years anyway? Even if you know about events that are going to take place in the stars, the heavens, or an eclipse or something, and you go meet some civilization that doesn't understand the concepts the same way you do. Oh, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to black out the sky. I'm going to black out the sun. So you better do what I say. And then they don't do what you say, but you know about an eclipse that's coming up. So then you could say, anyway, I'm actually kind of skeptical about the whole Christopher Columbus theory, where, he basically was convincing the natives that he controlled the stars or the skies. Like, I think the natives knew a hell of a lot more than a lot of the people that came over from Europe did at the time about the stars and the planets and the constellations, because there's plenty of petroglyphs that, if you decode the petroglyphs, they're talking about the stars and the planets and the best time to grow crops. And like my friend Angela, she was at our petroglyph tour that we did last year. We went to Crow Canyon, and Crow Canyon has these petroglyphs that look like crow's feet. And some of these petroglyphs, you'll see like corn crops that are growing next to the symbol of like a two-headed monster, but it's not really a two-headed monster. It's Gemini. So she was able to decode that they're talking about the best time to plant their crops is in when a certain constellation was in Gemini. And we did the research on it, and it was absolutely correct. So a lot of these old petroglyphs that we are attempting to understand today, or a lot of people are attempting to understand today, they have no freaking clue. They have no idea. And what else is unfortunate is a lot of the natives don't even know anymore, because that information's been lost. But you go back 600, 700, 800 years, they knew a lot more about the skies and the stars than many people do today, because that was their entertainment. That was their form of survival. They had to know when to grow crops. They had to know based upon the stars and the alignments of the planets, etc. So it's really cool. It's really cool. I think that the more we understand about our past, the better chances we're going to have of making a brighter future. And maybe that's why there's certain factions out there that don't want us to reach our full potential and don't want us to know about our true history. Because if we know about our true history, then we can actually make a change in the future. We can understand what we did wrong in the past, so we can make those changes for the future. Also, if we realize we're connected to the earth, and the earth is a living entity that actually knows us, and we subconsciously know the earth, as well as other deities and entities and powers and principalities, or whatever that term is, the biblical term. We see 0.01% of the electromagnetic light spectrum, 0.01% of the electromagnetic light spectrum. We hear a very small portion of the sound spectrum. So just because we don't see it or hear it or feel it doesn't mean it's not there. And these UFOs and these anomalies in the skies and these tricksters or interdimensional beings or whatever you want to call them, they have been around, documented for thousands of years, but they seem to adapt as we adapt. That's one thing I've noticed is going back in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, all those flying saucers in the skies that people were documenting and saying they're alien. We look at those technologies now, and many of them are almost comical. Like some of these UFOs and flying saucers that people got a lot of credit for, and they allegedly were taking photographs of these things while they were right in front of them and making contact with them. Entire cults were created. And then these people were proven frauds years later. One person in particular that was really big in the 70s that started a cult and then claimed to have found this scripture in Jerusalem when he was walking one day, that, like the Gospel of Emmanuel, I think is what it's called. Well, the person that was showing these videos and photographs of these UFOs that just look so amazing, I've seen videos of those same UFOs in the same area where that tree is, a lot of times in these UFOs, and you can see the UFO going back and forth like this. Like it's on a freaking string, folks. Like, seriously, come on. You went to Mars and back, and all you could tell me is there were giant spiders out there? Give me a freaking grow up, man. Get a clue. Nobody. you still got a small group of people that are hanging on to these stories. And it's just like, I don't know, it's become a cult for a lot of people, and that's cool. And that's fine for them, but I'm not doing it. When I find new information out, I'm going to share it with you. If I believed a UFO was legit in the past and I find out it's not now, I'm going to share it with you because that's how I roll. So thanks for watching, everybody. Have a beautiful day. Hit the bell. Be well. Be excellent to each other. Remember, everything is bullshit until proven otherwise. And be the change you want to see. See you on Patreon.